If you have a leader that's focused on themselves instead of on the team and on
Yeah.
other people, what happens is you begin to build a cult-like environment. I had a guest on my podcast who said something not long ago, and it really grabbed me. And I was like, that's really good. Leaders create the weather. Man, such a short statement, but inside that, there's so much. And I thought, wow, that's so true. We create environments. That's what leaders do. We create the environment inside which work is done. Teams are built, culture is created. We create those environments.
Yeah.
And if we are not careful, we will create an environment that is all about us.
Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Stevens, your host, and welcome to another Shot of Inspiration. My Quaker Hanja co-host, sidekick, and man's best friend, Finley, is on sabbatical today, and so she'll be with us next time. But today's guest is Dr. William Attaway. Now, I met William several months ago, and he's author of The Catalytic Leadership, and also he has a podcast called the Catalytic Leadership Podcast. Say that real fast. He's a keynote speaker, executive coach. He also specializes in mindset, leadership, and productivity. He also has an interesting monthly newsletter called The Unbreakable Entrepreneur. So, William, thanks for being on the show today.
Greg, thanks for having me. And I've been
Well,
looking forward to this.
it's great. I think it was last week, I was on your podcast. So
Yes,
we
that's
had
right.
we had a lot of fun. It was a nice back and forth. And so I'm excited about today. Let's talk a little about you, the work you do. Give us a little background, where you live, how you came up through the ranks, and how you started your business, and then all the way to catalytic leadership.
Sure. So I live about an hour and a half west of Washington, D.C. in Northern Virginia. Some of the most politicized real estate in the world, in my experience. We've been here almost 21 years. And my background goes ways back. I started in corporate and then moved into the nonprofit church world, and now coach entrepreneurs and leaders, executives and business owners from a variety of different contexts. Specialize in the digital marketing agency space, but about 40% of my clients are outside of that world. And what I try to do is come alongside them and help them to see what they can't see. It's very difficult to see the whole picture when you're in the frame. And so it's helpful to have an outside perspective to ask you questions that maybe nobody else in your world is going to ask you.
Absolutely. So what led you to this? What was the pull? What was the draw for you?
I started working with leaders and teams and coming alongside and coaching them about 30 years ago when I was in corporate. And then into the nonprofit church world, building teams is a very different thing. Leadership looks very different because you don't have a paycheck as leverage to hold over people.
Yeah.
That takes a different type of leadership. And so coaching leaders and teams in those environments taught me a whole lot. But throughout that, I was always on the side working with leaders and teams in varieties of different contexts. In this area, a lot of government contractors, government employees, but also business owners from solopreneurs on up. It birthed in me when I was 15. I was invited to attend my first leadership conference by a high school teacher who saw something in me that I didn't really see in myself. I went and I was hooked. I was captivated by the power of leadership. What could be done with an intentional, focused leader and the danger of what happens when they're not.
Yeah, let's talk about some of those dangers. What do you see that is dangerous when you have leadership they're not good leaders? What do you see?
If you have a leader that's focused on themselves instead of on the team and on
Yeah.
other people, what happens is you begin to build a cult-like environment. I had a guest on my podcast who said something not long ago, and it really grabbed me. And I was like, that's really good. Leaders create the weather. Man, such a short statement, but inside that, there's so much. And I thought, wow, that's so true. We create environments. That's what leaders do. We create the environment inside which work is done. Teams are built, culture is created. We create those environments.
Yeah.
And if we are not careful, we will create an environment that is all about us. We'll create an environment that is focused on what we are, who we are, instead of who the team is, or better, who our clients are.
Yeah. So that's the dark side. Let's talk about the light side. Give me some examples of some leaders that you've had a chance to help, what happened in their organizations as a result of that. Share a couple of stories with that.
So I had a client come to me. He's an executive at Amazon, and he was struggling with some challenges that he had never hit so far in his career. And there was a lot of potential, but there was also a lot of danger there. And so by talking it through and helping him to see what he couldn't see, to identify the blind spots, people don't realize leaders, statistically, according to the research I've seen, leaders have on average 3.4 blind spots. You know, the funny thing about a blind spot, you don't know you have it,
Exactly.
but everybody around you
Right.
does.
Right.
So helping them to identify their blind spots really helped this particular leader to begin to lead at a different level.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he began to see effectiveness in his team, in his department, in a way that he never had. Another leader that I was working with, he was the COO of a $29 billion public company, right? Number two guy. He is, man, talk about high capacity, high performance. But again, he hit a point in his career where he hit a level and hit a situation. He didn't know how to deal with that. Up to this point, he knew how to really get it done. He knew how to rise to the occasion. But he got to a point where he hit a blind spot. And we began to work through it. And over the course of a year, we began to see him begin to make progress until he got to a point where he said, hey, this is so much better. I'm actually enjoying this now. I'm actually enjoying this role in the life that I have. This is my goal in working with clients. I want to help them overcome what's holding them back. I want to help them get out of their own way and move to a point of not just surviving, just barely hanging on, but to a place of thriving.
Right. It's interesting. You were talking about he got to where he enjoyed it. I think if you ever started working out, you hate going to the gym at first.
Oh, so
And
true.
and after a while, it's wow, I'm starting to enjoy this now. But
Yeah.
it takes a while. And you lose a lot of people in that first pain points and things like that because they're like, is this really worth it? I typically find that that's what I tell my clients is, you know what? You have to trust me right now. Is it worth
Yeah.
it? Yeah, it is on the other side, but it's going to take some time to get there.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Growth only happens on the other side of change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody wants to grow.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Change is how you get there.
Exactly. You also talked about everyone has a blind spot, and you said how many for most executives is 3 point what?
Average blind spots for a leader is 3.4.
I think that's very low. I'm sorry. I think that's very low.
In my experience, I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the other thing. There's one thing at work, there's also at home. And I think those are some
Oh,
of the biggest blind spots we have if we started to dig in that area.
100%.
But you were talking about those blind spots. What I see when you were talking about this just hit me by being vulnerable, open to coaching, you
Mhm.
actually hold a mirror up to the blind spot so you can see it.
That's right.
Yeah, but it takes that vulnerability as a leader. And I think that's the one of the biggest fears I see. And because until they're around someone who's been vulnerable, they start to see it. There's not a lot of examples for leaders that are vulnerable. A. Brown talks about it in her books, being vulnerable is
Yep.
courageous and all
That's
of
right.
that. That's a great idea. But
Mhm.
I find the application of these things is so difficult. Share with us some of the ways you help people go from that knowledge base to the application.
And I think you keyed in on it right there. People think information is what they need.
Yeah.
Information is all around us. I've got information on the shelves behind me.
Yeah.
So much information, right? Information alone never leads to transformation. Information plus execution leads to transformation.
Yeah.
What are you doing with the information? And I think that's the key. This is what I work with clients on, helping them to see, hey, okay, I think you know what you need to do. You know the answers. You know what's holding you back. You're just not executing on it.
Yeah. That's one of the things I've learned since I've got the book. If people go, what do you do? Read my book. Cheapest thing you'll ever do. You can read it. If you go apply it, you'll be amazed at what happens in your life. Otherwise, you might want to hire me or hire another coach to actually learn how to apply these things because
Yes.
it's not just helping someone apply. I believe we help others guide and hold the hand. We all need it. We all need
Yes.
that attention to detail, that thing that's going to say, it's okay. I understand this is hard. I was around
This.
a guy who's a workout coach. Come on, you can do
Oh,
this.
oh, nice.
And I love that for some people. For me, I never liked that. I wanted someone, get in there, do it, not, hey, Ra, do this. I needed someone on my butt. And that's where I'm a practitioner. I'm probably the hardest on myself.
Yeah.
A lot of people are hard on themselves in the wrong way. I do a little both. And
Yeah.
what would you say to a leader who tends to be hard on themselves? What would you bring up for a leader doing that?
I think you need to evaluate. And I think this is where a lot of leaders stop at some point in their journey. They stop evaluating how they're talking to themselves. I had a counselor tell me, gosh, 10 plus years ago now, she said, if you talk to other people the way you talk to yourself, you would have no friends. And at the moment, that kind of stung. But you know what? She was right.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've been working on with coaches on since.
Yeah.
Help me to see what I can't see in how I'm self-talking, because that's always going to bleed out.
Yeah.
And so I think with leaders, you've got to evaluate that. You've got to say, how am I talking to myself? Let me become more aware of this. What language am I using?
Yeah.
Because the language you use reveals what's going on inside.
Yeah. I was listening to a book called The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. I don't know if you've ever heard that. When I heard
No.
it, I was like, this is so good. I don't have to write the book now because it has everything I've learned the last 20 years. But one of the things they talked in there, he said, if you have a for me attitude, a with me attitude, the universe is there for you. And that typically goes in the face of negative self-talk.
That's right.
And if the universe is for me, why am I beating myself up? And so I mentioned a book. What are some of the books or leadership things that you've done that really fed you, that you found valuable, that helped you become the teacher and author and podcaster and a coach you become? What are some of the core books that you have? I love to read, so I'm going to be writing
Yeah.
some of these down.
One of my favorites, and one that I actually give to all the clients that I work with, is a book called Soundtracks by John Acuff.
Okay.
And John is a great writer. He's funny, a little snarky, which I like a lot. And what John is doing in this book is taking research and unpacking it around the soundtracks in our heads. We can't imagine the Superman movie without the Superman John Williams music. We can't imagine the Star Wars movies without the soundtrack. Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? The soundtrack's just a part of it. You and I have a soundtrack too. It's the repetitive thoughts in our heads. And what John does in that book is he talks about how most of us have broken soundtracks. They're soundtracks that no longer serve us or perhaps never did,
Yeah.
and how to replace broken soundtracks with healthy ones.
That's
I
great.
love that book. It's a phenomenal book, best book on mindset that I know. And it's one that I recommend often. When I first read that, I said, this is, as you said, now I don't have to write it. This is the book I don't have to write now. This is the one I could just give away because it's so well done.
Now, have you read a book called Chatter? Because I was just doing another interview yesterday with a gentleman named Troy Carnes, and he told me about a book called Chatter, and I really love the concept behind it. I don't know who wrote it, but he said that I think you think about 4,000 words a minute. Whew, that's how fast our brain goes. Think about how much noise that is. We just get used to because all those thoughts are there. And that's how we
Yeah.
think if you were to put those into words. That's massive, but there's a lot of noise going on. And then you've got a soundtrack too. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on in this wet work here we call it brain.
Seriously, to put that into context, every 15 minutes, then you're thinking a book.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's astounding.
It is. It is. And think about AI goes so fast. Your brain does as well. We just aren't conscious of all the things that it's doing.
That's
And it's working overtime when we think, even in our dreams, working out different things, how much sleep do you get, things like that. Walk me through a process. You run into a leader who's got so much going on, and it just feels like it's never going to stop for them. How
yeah.
do you get them focused? How do you calm them down? What do you do? What's a process for you?
The first thing I'm going to do is sit down with them in that first session, sit down with them. It's virtual most of the time. You know what I mean?
Well, you're
Like,
sitting.
usually. And talk about, okay, I want you to paint a picture for me of all of the balls that you're juggling right now. Like, I want to see them all. Most people do not make the distinction between balls that are made out of crystal and balls that are made out of rubber. Okay. Some balls, if you drop them, they shatter into a million pieces and you're never going to put that back together. Some balls, if you drop them, it's just going to bounce and you can put it right back in the rotation.
That's
And
good.
getting a picture of what the balls are and what they're made of is the first step. And then we're going to move into prioritization. Okay, so if we can fix or address 3 to 5 areas over the next 12 months, what are those 3 to 5 areas going to be? And dial that in. That to me helps me understand exactly what it is. Where are their pain points? Where are they really struggling and feeling this the most right now? Most often, what they say in that is not actually the problem. Most often, we've got to dial it in and dig deeper because it's 2 or 3 layers below that. And sometimes there is 1 or 2 real issues behind the 5 that they give me. That's okay. But we've got to first define where we are.
Yeah.
Then we define where we want to be. What does it look like for you not to struggle with this? What does it look like for you to be living a life where you are thriving? What does that look like? Tell me, describe it, feel it. And we paint that picture. Then it's a matter of building a bridge from point A to point B.
God.
Building the bridge is the easy part, by the way.
Yeah.
Most people struggle with defining either where they are or where they want to go. They usually struggle with one or the other. Occasionally, they struggle with both. There's just that little clarity.
Yeah.
And so, like Brene Brown says, clarity is kindness.
Yes.
And so the first thing we have to do is we have to get clarity on where you are, then get clarity on where you want to be, and then build the bridge.
Yeah.
And I'm going to walk with you on the bridge as we build it and execute so that we can see you get there. So that's really the process at a broad stroke level.
Good. So the clarity's there. Let's talk about what is a ball that's made of crystal and what's one that's made of rubber. What do you typically see? Because one would be majoring on the majors, others majoring on the minors. What do you typically see for most people? What are the balls made of crystal?
Most often, these are going to be the relationships that are closest to you. People want to wall off parts of their lives. It's an idea I think we get from the ancient Greeks, this idea of compartmentalization. And it's a cute myth, much like Zeus. It's just not real. You are one person. And there are, of course, different parts of your life, but you are one person in all those different parts. And to live a life of integrity means that all of the parts of your life are integrated. They all touch, they all bleed. If you don't believe that, then I want you to think about the last time you had a big blow up fight at home. Did that affect what happened at the office? Absolutely. Of course it did. Yeah. What about when something really bad happened at work? Did that affect what happened at home? Absolutely. Of course it did. Yeah. It bleeds. We think there are these walls, but those walls are paper thin if they exist at all. Yeah. And understanding that the relationships that are closest to us matter more than most anything else. This is critical. Yeah. And most leaders I find struggle with this because they find so much of their identities, they've tied so much of their identity to what they do at work, forgetting that one day somebody else is going to sit in your chair. Yes. Somebody else is going to do what you do. Okay. One day, either on purpose or not. But the reality is, when that day comes, then what? Yeah. Then what? I've spent a lot of time with people at the end of their lives by virtue of what I do in another part of my life as a pastor. And I'll tell you, in those conversations, I have never once heard anybody say, oh, man, I wish I had spent more time at the office. If I had just hit one more quarter's KPIs, if only we had achieved that final objective. I've never heard that. You know what I hear? I hear regrets. I hear regrets about relationships. I hear regrets about those crystals in their life that they allowed to drop, that they sacrificed on the altar of getting more done at the office, getting more done at work, getting one more accolade. And here they are at the end, and they see with clarity. I want to help my clients see with clarity long before they're at that moment.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that. Who helped you see with clarity? Who are some of your mentors or influences in leadership in your life? Who was that for you?
My goodness, I have hired coaches for decades.
Mhm.
And the
Yeah.
reason that I still do that is because I want to continue to grow and get better.
Yeah.
That's what happens. The best athletes in the world have multiple coaches.
Yeah.
They're the best athletes in the world. And the reason that they have coaches is because they can't see what they can't see. Okay. I am no exception to that
Yeah.
rule.
Any one particular that you stands out
Yeah.
for you?
There's so many. I will
I,
say that one who stands out is John Maxwell.
okay.
And John has just been a mentor for us from afar. And then being a part of his leadership core of coaches
Mhm.
and learning directly from him, that has been an incredible blessing. John had a similar trajectory to mine, starting out in ministry instead of corporate, but
Right.
spending several decades leading and serving in that capacity before he stepped out of that into a different realm. And that has been a very big inspiration in my life to see, okay, what does it look like to be a person of faith who is not just sitting in a building waiting for people to come to you?
I love that. I love that. Based on the things you have learned from your coaches, what is one message you wish every leader could actually hear and understand?
I think if I could leave people with one thing, the one thing would be this, that a teachable spirit is 100% in your control.
Mm,
100%. That is what makes a leader catalytic, a teachable spirit.
I love that.
I approach every single day of my life, Greg, saying, I want to be the most teachable person in the room. I want to be the most teachable person in every conversation I go into because I believe I can learn from anybody. Now, I might learn what not to do, but that's okay. That could be incredibly valuable, right?
Yeah.
But I want to be teachable
Yeah.
because that's when we learn. That's when we walk in with open hands instead of thinking we have all the answers.
Yeah.
If I could communicate one thing to every leader who is listening, you get to choose whether you're going to have that or not. And if you choose that, get ready because there is so much growth on the other side of that decision.
Yeah. I love that. So let's say we take you back to when you were just getting started, maybe out of college or whatever it might be. What is one thing you might tell yourself today or at that time, looking forward, that you wish you would have known back then?
Relationships are more important than getting things done.
That's a good one.
I'm a driver. That's how I'm wired. I like to get things done. I like to be focused. I like to be efficient. And if I'm not careful, the natural tendency with that type of a personality is that I'm going to run right over people. And that is exactly what I did early on. I can't tell you the number of relationships and conversations I would love to have back, have a redo, because I completely obliterated them,
Yeah.
completely obliterated them
Yeah.
on the altar of getting things done.
Right.
Getting things done is great. That's important. But as a leader, relationships are how you do that.
Yeah.
As a leader, your job is not to get things done. It's to get things done through other people.
Yeah.
And you got to have relationships to do that. You
Yeah.
got to care more about the people than you do about your to-do list.
Right.
If you don't care more about the people that you lead than you do about your list, you are likely on the edge of or in that particular ditch.
Yeah. I would say even if you do care about those things, but you're just so focused because give you an example this weekend, I'm terrible when it comes to doing things around the house. I've had two back surgeries. When I get hot, I get mad and trying to fix something. I'm not a fix it person. And it's
Yeah.
going to take me 5 times longer than anyone else. And I was out cleaning the garage and my wife came out and she turned around, went back in. She came back out. She goes, I got to say one thing. When you're doing this, you're just nasty. You're mean.
Oh
And I went,
no. Oh
and,
no.
and I wanted to say no. And I was like,
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I mean,
Yeah.
she'd never say that. I mean, it took
Oh
her
my
everything.
goodness.
And I looked at it
Wow.
and I went, wow. She goes, it's the only area of your life that you do this.
Wow.
And I stopped. I didn't say anything. And she walked back in. And I just worked through it while I was doing the rest of it. I was like, you're right. I let myself off the hook because I
Mm.
can't stand this. I'm trying to get this done. Everyone needs to clear out of my space. That was a
Yeah.
frame of mind. And I have one of the most open hearts. I don't want to treat people that way. And here I am treating my wife that way. And
That's
I
what a
felt this,
gift.
I felt this shame for a moment. What I tell people, if you feel shame, good, look at it. What is
Yeah.
there? What do
Yeah.
you learn? And when I handled everything, I went back up and go, wow, thank you for that gift. I said, I just really needed to hear that. And she said, it's the only time I ever see you do that. And it was like, but her to say it like that, like I told you, I need to be hit over the head in coaching.
Yes.
It took me a little while, but when you said that, that came up for me because I'm so focused on that thing. And even I've got
Yeah.
a good intent, good heart.
Mm.
Sometimes even in that area, I would tell you, oh yeah, I'm all about relationships. And the one I care about most, I'm right in
Right.
that moment, I'm treating the worst. Yeah.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I got some stories there. My wife probably has some more. She could tell
Oh,
you.
they know you best, don't they? Yes. Let me ask you, what are you looking to do in the next 5 years? What's up for you? And as you're talking about this, how can people reach out and work with you? Because I want to make sure we're going to post things on social media, but if people are listening, to make sure they know how to get in touch with you. But what are you up to? What do you do in the next 5 years? Who's a perfect client for you? How can people get a hold of you?
Greg, people can go to catalyticleadership.net first. That's the hub of everything that we do. And so the one-on-one coaching I do, the group coaching that I do, the community that we have through the Catalytic Leadership app, all of that is centered in that one hub space. And so I would say that's a logical place to go if folks want to have a conversation. What's in the next 5 years?
Yeah,
That's a question I ask often, and I'm a planner. Most anyone, including my wife, will tell you that I love to plan.
good.
But I find inside planning there is tremendous flexibility.
Mm.
And so I have ideas, I have thoughts. My third book will be coming out later this year.
What's it going to be
My
called? Do you have a name for it
it's,
yet?
I do. It's called The Catalytic Mindset. It's part of a trilogy of books. The first one was Catalytic Leadership. We released that in 2022. Catalytic Mindset will be later this year. And then Catalytic Productivity will be coming out in 2027. So the three lanes that I drive in.
Love it.
And what I'm doing in these books is really just trying to capture the common threads from 30 plus years of conversations with leaders as I'll work with them and help them to navigate their challenges. What are the common threads that I think would be helpful for the reader or listener, because we put them all in Audible? What are the threads that would be helpful? So, like you said earlier, these are the things. If you take this, if you apply this and go do this, awesome. If you need some help, that's what I do.
Yeah, that's great. Now, let me ask, do you read your own books on Audible?
I do.
You've
I
got a
always
great voice for it.
prefer. Oh,
Yeah.
I
No,
appreciate that.
I hired a professional because my friend said, "Oh, you need to read your own book." I was like, "No, I speak one way, I read another, and
Oh, yeah,
very
I get
different."
that.
I've heard some people, and I'm like, some people are really good because you get their personality. Others
Right.
need to have a professional, I've heard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
after listening to myself, I knew I needed a professional, but I could definitely listen. I've read your book, but I'd like to listen to the next one. So
Oh,
I
I
really like
appreciate
that.
that.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you would love to share with our listeners? It can be about anything.
I'll give you this. This is from the book that's coming out later this year.
Okay.
The title is The Catalytic Mindset. The subtitle is You Get to Choose.
Mm,
And I would put that in front of your listeners today,
yeah,
whether it's your leadership, whether it's your mindset, how you live your life, the balls that you're juggling, whether you will prioritize the crystal ones or not. That's a choice you get to make.
yeah, yeah.
You
I
get to
like how
decide.
I like how you put it. You get to. You don't have
That's
to.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to choose. And if people will grab onto that and understand that you are not a victim of your circumstances, you're not a victim of your past choices. You get to choose today and going forward.
Absolutely.
And by grabbing onto that mindset, you can absolutely revolutionize what is going to happen in your next 5 to 10 years.
Yes, that's great. William, it's been such a pleasure. And everyone, I just really enjoyed this. And as always, I hope you enjoyed the episode today. If you did, like or subscribe or share it with a friend to make sure we expand our message, our positive message going out to those who possibly need to hear it. And I encourage you, reach out and listen to the Catalytic Leadership podcast that Dr. William Attaway has. I've listened to it. It's excellent. He's got great guests on, and I encourage you to follow him as well. Again, thank you for listening. And next time I will have Finley, my Quaker Hanja, with us. I'm Greg Stevens. As always, be bold, be courageous, and respectfully speak your truth. See you next time. Bye-bye. Thanks, Dr. William.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of A Shot of Inspiration. If you like this or any of our other episodes, make sure you rate it and share it with a friend. This is Greg Stevens, and we look forward to being with you next time. Until then, be bold, be courageous, and respectfully speak your truth.